everyone, it's Wacky Anime What If here to present you with What If Rudeus Grayrat Had Solo Leveling Part 1. Let's go ahead and get into it. Currently, there's an overweight otaku, currently in his rolling chair, staring directly at his monitor on his computer, scrolling through the pages of one of his favorite mangas, known as Solo Leveling. He's only gotten halfway through, but he's absolutely addicted to it. He reaches into his barrel of chips and starts literally munching down the entire barrel, basically. And then realizes something. Why would he just munch down the barrel by reaching his hand in there when he could? He immediately lifts up the barrel towards his face and he starts chugging the entire barrel of chips down. Like, instantly. While staring at the Soul Leveling manga and reading it. And immediately notices that there's no more chips anymore. And he thinks, oh, that's why I don't do that. He puts it down to his side, immediately gets up out of his rolling chair. Right when he gets up, the chair just pops back upwards, because his weight was literally holding the chair downwards to where it was no longer a rolling chair anymore. Immediately walks towards the front door, and is about to open it as soon as he reaches his hand towards the front door of his apartment. Considering the reason why he's in an apartment is because his family kicked him out, because he was mooching off of them. Which he was, but what could an overweight otaku loser like him really do in this society? That's really all he could really do, is what he thought in his head. Before a voice in the back of his head said, "You could have done better." And he solemnly agrees, while he grabs the doorknob and is about to twist it. But then he feels a shuddering sensation throughout his body and says, "Yeah, never mind. He puts his hand right beside him and says, "Yeah, no Truck-Kun today," he thinks in his head. Thinking that he's won against Truck-Kun, he immediately walks up towards the chair, and right when he's walking up towards the chair, doing his victory dance and everything, he hears a honk of a horn, and he thinks, what was that? Well, he looks to the side, looks out of the window to the side, and sees a truck run right directly into his apartment. Crashing into the apartment, and crashing directly into his side, while he was looking at the truck last second and saying, "Fuck you, Truck-Kun," but only managed to get out, "Fuck you," and immediately get flung halfway across the apartment. His ribcage, most of his ribcage was completely shattered, except for one part of his ribcage, which redirected towards his lungs, and ended up puncturing them, making him feel excruciating pain as he was being flung across the apartment and hit the wall, which the wall ended up immediately breaking when he was hit towards it from impact and because of his weight. He fell to the ground and little cracks were forming on the ground. He was bleeding out, and he saw his blood directly under him as he looked downwards. He looked upwards towards the truck, and with a bit of his strength, almost the last of it, lifted up his right hand and pulled out the middle finger towards the truck and said, "Fuck you." And then he swear the truck basically just said "fuck you" back because it honked at him. And he saw that the driver was unconscious and not even near the wheel. So he was quite freaked out because that means the entire truck just managed to try to kill him. And it probably is going to succeed, he thinks in his head. Immediately thinking back on how he was quite a failure in life, how he was just an otaku and didn't really do much with his life, didn't really get a job, didn't really go out, wasn't active, didn't really care for his family too much, didn't bond with them. He ended up thinking he really wishes that he could change his life, but apparently not now. Before he ends up closing his eyes and opening them, trying to still stay awake and survive, even though it's a very, very small chance he will. But nonetheless, he attempts to. As he sees the first responders immediately go into the truck, pull out the truck driver, ended up loading him into a hospital, an actual ambulance that's by, while a few of them ended up walking towards our main character, our overweight otaku, and trying to soothe him. One of them does, and says, "Do whatever you do, don't close your eyes. You can make it through this. I know you can," is what one person says, trying to calm him down and make sure he doesn't flatline before they reach him into a hospital. But one of the other people who are trying to pick him up, but then ended up saying something out loud. "Oh my God, he's so heavy," A few people try to lift him up, about 4 to 5 people trying to lift him up, still can't really lift him up off the ground. And immediately one of them says, "Oh my god, it feels like I'm trying to lift up an entire car here." Well, one of them says, "No, it feels like a hippo." And another person said, "Oh no, I was going to say elephant," while our main character thinks in his mind, "Damn it, stop making fun of me, stop roasting me while I'm dying," he says in his head. While the guy who's trying to soothe him says, "Can you guys shut up and just lift him up into the ambulance, okay?" And they all lift him up with a huge team effort, just so you know. It actually took 7 people to lift him up. Right when 7 people lift him up and finally get him into the ambulance and load him in, it was already too late. He's already passed. Though they still took him to the hospital, just to find out he'd already passed. Immediately, when the main character closed his eyes one last time, when he opened them, he saw that he was no longer in his remains of his house. He wasn't in the remains of his house or in an ambulance or anything. He was in what seemed like a European-style house. He looks around, and then he immediately sees this one guy just looking at him very excitedly, and he feels kind of creeped out. And he immediately thinks in his mind, "Stranger danger!" Immediately thinking this and about to say it out loud, but only could have some little cries out loud. He says, "Hold up a minute," he says in his mind, before seeing the man literally try to lift him up. And he says, "Ha, good luck trying to lift me up. Like they said, like those men who tried to lift me up before, I'm about the size of a damn hippo. You won't be able to lift me up successfully," before lifting him up effortlessly. And then he says, "Oh, I stand corrected. Could you please lift literally just sit me back down, please?" I don't like heights. As he looks downwards, and then he sees that he doesn't see his feet that are supposed to be on the floor already, but he does see his little tiny feet. And then he just looks at his hands and sees tiny little hands, and then he thinks, "Oh my god, I've been reincarnated." He thinks in his head, before looking at the man who's probably his father, trying to literally kiss the man. He's trying to kiss our main character. Probably on the forehead or something, but yeah, let's just go ahead and say Rudeus does not want that. So he immediately just balls up his little baby hand and starts to literally punch at Paul. Just punches him directly in the face, like hitting his nose and everything, and causing him to literally instinctively pull his head backwards to dodge. Right when he dodged, he saw his mother right beside him, and he's gotta admit, she's hot as all fuck. He saw them giant ass titties, and he thought in his head, "Damn, those mommy milkers," as he puts his hands upwards and has a literal perverted grasp in his hands. Literally just moving his hands like how Kazuma would from Konosuba when he was trying to scare off those 2 ladies. You all know that scene. I know you do. Please tell me you've seen it. Anyway, back on track. So right when he's doing this, the mother literally feels a little creeped out, but lifts him out of Paul's grasp and puts him directly in her grasp. And looks down at him and starts speaking in an unknown language. They start speaking to each other in an unknown language. He doesn't know what it is. But he realizes something. He realizes that if he's in a European house, is he in Europe or is he in a completely different world? He doesn't really know. But he's going to find out, is what he says in his mind before he drifts off to sleep. 2 months later, currently, young Rudeus is literally crawling across the house, just trying to get to his mission, while literal music is playing in the background, dun, 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 while he's literally crawling across the hallway, trying to avoid his mother. He looks into a room and sees his mother looking around for him, literally zooming around that specific room at a huge amount of speed that he swears is super speed. He swears she has super speed. As she lifts up the couch, trying to find him, and then proceeds to literally look around everywhere, under furniture, everything, while Rudeus just sees this and calmly closes the door slightly. Then he starts literally crawling all the way to the laundry room. Right when he gets there, he says, mission's a go. Immediately crawls towards the laundry hamper. Then he finds some panties. And then he just immediately puts them on his face and he says, mission done. I've got him. Immediately starts crawling away, goes into the kitchen and sees Lilia and her sweet, sweet assets. And then he thinks in his mind, nice! He thinks in his mind, while staring at her. She immediately feels a chilling sensation as Rudeus just has his baby, like an old man face on his baby face, just having the most perverted look he can possible towards Lilia. She looks behind her very slowly, sees Rudeus, and just straight up is terrified. Just backs up a little bit while seeing him, and immediately thinks in her head, that kid ain't normal. While Rudeus just crawls towards her, and she just backs up a little bit, getting very scared at this moment, and then thinks, Zenith, your kid's in here, she screams out, while trying not to slip, but ends up slipping and falling to the ground, and almost hitting her head, which was quite literally very funny in Rudeus' opinion. She started chuckling a little bit while Lilia saw this and said, you can understand me, can you, you little shit? She thinks in her head, while trying to grab at Rudeus. But Rudeus just absolutely avoids this, like, just moves to the side a little bit quicker than Lilith can grab him. And then she says, oh, you want to play it like that? She thinks in her mind, while trying to catch Rudeus. And literally, you just see Rudeus crawling around, absolutely going under tables and stuff, just avoiding Lilia's grasp. While Lilia's trying to grab at him and completely missing, and then at the last minute, she just says, you know what? She jumps at him, tries to grab him, but she accidentally hits her head against the table that she forgot was there, and then she just falls unconscious. While Rudeus just walks up towards her, just slaps her on the forehead and says, I win, in his head. While trying to crawl out, right when he crawls all the way out of the room, he sees Zenith staring at him through the hallway, just at the other side of the hallway. And she has like a face of, I found you, target acquired. And he swears that her eyes were just glowing slightly. So immediately Rudeus says, oh hell no. I got the Mominator. Screw the Terminator, I got the Mominator. He starts trying to crawl away from her, but she just zooms down the hallway at little huge amounts of speed. That literally sends shockwaves through the house a little bit. And immediately is right behind Rudeus, just picks him up. And she says, oh, Rudeus. Oh, where did you go off to? And then Rudeus just stares directly at her. And she couldn't see his face before because, you know, he was facing the opposite way. But then she saw the panties on his face and said, oh, you don't wear these, Rudeus. As she pulls off the actual panties on his face and just proceeds to put them back in the laundry while still holding Rudeus. And then going into the kitchen, seeing a knocked out Lilia. And while this is happening, Rudeus is thinking, oh my god, I have an All Might mom. Like, she just went straight at me with such speed that could probably outshine All Might. Is she actually All Might? Is my mom All Might? And immediately he starts picturing up something horrifying that makes him barf a little bit on the inside and about to barf on the outside. He imagines Zenith's face on All Might's body, and then screaming, I am here. And immediately he just cringes. And is just terrified of that. She immediately puts down Rudeus because she's checking up on Lilia. While Rudeus is just crawling around and attempting to get up, he manages to stand up a little bit. Goes up towards a little chair that's propped up towards the little bench propped up towards the actual window. Immediately standing up on it, looking outside, seeing Paul do a few sword swings. Then he thinks, yeah, definitely not a European house. Yeah, this is totally some type of new world, I'm guessing. Either that, or they're just really, really into cosplay or D&D. Like, they probably took it way too far with it, I guess. I mean, I don't really know yet. I mean, there's not some magic or anything, is there? He immediately thinks in his head before thinking, yeah, no, I'm definitely just in Europe. He immediately thinks this before accidentally tripping while he's looking backwards at his mom, falling to the ground, hitting the back of his head, and immediately not wailing at all, and just thinking, oh, I hit my head. while Zenith just immediately zooms right behind him at huge amounts of speed, which literally scares him a little bit, and he jumps back. While she lifts him up, puts him on the table, and then starts reciting some type of chant. Which, when the chant actually ends up being said, let's just go ahead and say Rudeus had something in his head. He was like, oh my god, is she that much into role play? Like, honestly, Paul just plays the knight. She plays the hot priest, I guess. And what does Lilith play? The maid? Or, well, no one would do that. Yeah. Honestly, before getting healed and thinking, oh wait, nope, never mind. There's actually magic. Yep, I totally have to eat my words now. And he thinks, but I wonder if I can do that magic though. He thinks in his head. Before Zenith ends up lifting him up after healing him and then taking him to his bed, laying him down in his bedroom. Right when that happens, all of a sudden, he thinks, I still didn't get to see solo leveling though. He thinks in his head, still bummed out. It's been 2 months, but he couldn't get that one manga out of his head because he read halfway through it before dying. Like, seriously, they couldn't wait for him to finish it. It's like some unknown force ended up literally making it to where he couldn't finish it, so he didn't know everything. Just so it could literally smite him. Just so it could literally make it to where it's as torturous as possible being reincarnated. He thinks in his head. Before all of a sudden closing his eyes for a few seconds and opening them again, and then seeing something in front of him. It says, would you like to be a new player? It says yes or no, and it shows a 30-second timer. Immediately, Rudeus just presses yes, and screams in his head, I have a solo leveling system! And right when he screams in his head this, he is very excited. Until he sees something pop up, and it says, do 3 push-ups. Do 3 curl-ups. Do 3 squats. And immediately, he ends up thinking, hold up, I'm just a baby. You wouldn't do this to a baby, would you? Before seeing it says, if you do not do these, you will be punished. Immediately, he just gulps and says, oh shit. And that's the end of What If Rudeus Grayrat had solo leveling. I hope you all enjoyed.